Hello.
Hello.
What's up?
This is... No, names then? Or...
Whatever you want.
Names first. Let's do it again.
Okay. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
My name is not hello.
Oh, I was starting over from scratch.
No, you go, hello, and then my name is... We've done this before. I swear we've
I've
done
never
this
done it.
before.
All right, well, we have two sets of
Okay,
hellos.
we say hello, and then usually it's welcome to Hugo Girl.
Oh,
blah,
yeah,
blah, blah. I'm Haley.
Maybe I haven't done this before.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, take 3.
Ready.
Welcome to Hugo. No,
No!
we already had two sets of... Okay.
We've been doing this for almost 6 years.
Hello. This is... You killed my father. Okay. From the top.
Action.
Tombstone.
This is all staying in.
Hello.
Hello. Kevin, jump in and be stunt Amy.
Hi.
Just say welcome. Do it. Just keep going.
This is Hugo Girl.
Is it a podcast?
It's a podcast where
What do we do?
we read Hugo Award-winning books and other things. I'm Haley.
I'm Lori. And to my left is my incapacitated friend, Amy. And this is not coming out, I insist.
I've been so stressed. I think I'm just losing.
Oh, that's okay.
Ooh.
I'll say your name for you. You're Amy.
Yes, I am.
I'm Haley.
Yep. I'm Lori.
This is a giggle fest.
This reminds me of an episode of Bewitched that I used to see on Nick at Night. And it was when Darren and Samantha had their baby and they were at the hospital and they kept being like, you're a father, you're a mother. And they were in this like, we just had a baby afterglow, which I've never had a baby, but I don't believe that's real. And they just kept being like, and you're a father and you're a mother. And finally the nurse goes, now that we've established who everyone is. I love it. The nurse is the real witch.
Oh, we should start doing that. Now that we've established who everyone is.
Yep.
What book are we reading?
This month we read Board Game by Lois McMaster Bujold, another entry in her Vorkosigan saga. We've read several, and we have many to go, apparently. It won the Hugo in 1991.
It was her first Hugo novel.
It was.
Oh.
And, you know, it's like probably in the first third-ish of the saga, because he's going to graduate from the academy.
Just a young buck.
Young Miles. Any housekeeping?
A little bit. Hugo nominations are now open. They are open through March 14th at 11:59 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. We are eligible for Best Fan Cast. And when you're nominating in general, don't forget the fan categories. There are lots of good fan casts and fan artists and fanzines and a secret fan third thing.
Fan writer.
Fan writers!
I'm technically
Thank
eligible.
you. Haley is eligible for fan writer. So is our friend Anne Michelle Harris, eligible for fan writer. So don't forget about the fan categories because they're fun and they're important.
The work is mysterious and important.
The work is mysterious and important. What's that from?
Severance.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. God, man, that show is so good. Oh, do we still have an episode to watch, Kevin? Oh, my God. Kevin was out of town last week. We're an episode behind.
Oh, this episode this past week was horny.
I'm a couple episodes behind.
Oh,
but yeah.
So also we got a funny email from, I believe it's Fashion Smith, who wrote in to tell us that Nebraska is giving out Tex Kalanley names. Did anyone hear about this
No.
baby with a Tex Kalanley name? Okay, here is the backstory. This child was born, I think, in 2023, and the mother decided immediately to surrender the child up for adoption. And so the hospital, that in order to generate a birth certificate and apply for a social security number for the child, which, spoiler, they didn't apply for a social security number, which is why this is even in the news. The hospital said that they used a computer program to generate this child's name. And the child's name is Unikite 13 Hotel.
Well, whatever happened to good old Jane Doe?
Well, I was going to say in Georgia, that child's name would be Baby Girl Doe.
Yeah.
I mean, and at least like, I don't know. I don't know why Baby Girl Doe is better than Unikite 13 Hotel. But anyway,
Well, 'cause
apparently.
that sounds like a military code, like Yankee, Wisco, Tango, Foxtrot.
So apparently the child's father, who ended up getting custody, has had quite an uphill battle getting the kid a social security number so that the kid can get Medicare and childcare and all kinds of services that the child or Medicaid, all kinds of services that maybe aren't long for this world.
Yeah.
But we have them at the moment a little bit. And anyway, it was kind of funny, but then also, well, not funny, but funny,
I
weird.
mean, it's kind of funny.
But-
like, they couldn't do anything else besides give this child 3 random nouns.
Yeah. And it's bizarre, but really, I think at bottom, it's a story about how the U.S. kind of sucks.
I mean, on a lighter note, it kind of reminds me about how people who do a lot of animal fostering eventually run out of names.
Oh, totally.
And so
Bookshelf.
the names are
That's
so
how
funny.
Teddy's name was Nikolai. That's not a
Nikolai's
fluffy
not-
dog name.
It's not a bad name, though,
No, it's
in
not.
the grand scheme.
But he doesn't look like a Nikolai, but they probably had thousands of Teddys come through the show.
He doesn't look Russian at all.
One of my favorite internet cats is named Noodle,
Noodle.
and they had a litter mate named Sauce. Sauce did not become famous.
My favorite deceased internet cat is Pot Roast.
Oh, Boris. Cinder, R.I.P. Cinder.
I'll send her.
Oh,
Cinder block.
that was a good cat. So anyway, thanks for that email. That was an interesting read. And weird birth certificate problems were right up my alley when I was still working at Legal Aid.
Oh, you could also share the emails we get from people that think we have a man's name.
Oh my God.
Dear Hugo.
Yeah, so we got, speaking of unikite, which I actually looked that up, and it's a type of a rock.
Oh, I was thinking like one kite.
Me too, but yeah, I looked it up, and it's a kind of a rock. So we get these emails, like, I guess they're probably AI generated or like just mass like form emails from people who want to come on the show. And the most recent one that we got, and we've gotten a handful like this, they say, "Dear Hugo." And it's like, no one here is named Hugo. First name Hugo, last name girl. and then
Middle name podcast.
let me just be mean. I'm just gonna share more of this email.
Dear my favorite murder.
Dear my.
Dear my. Okay. Hey, Hugo, I couldn't help but get inspired by your recent episode with Anne Michelle Harris on Hugo Girl. Her journey from stray thoughts to a completed novel resonated deeply. As someone who's also ventured into the world of writing my upcoming book, I relate to the exhilarating yet daunting process of turning ideas into a tangible work. Blah, blah, blah. She says, I have stories that would captivate your audience and align with your theme of transformative journeys. So I was feeling like a dick. So I wrote back and I said,
Come through, AI.
Yeah.
I said, what part of Anne's journey did you relate to the most? Because I was like,
Yeah.
at first I wasn't really taken in, but I was like, oh, her journey from stray thoughts to completed novel. I remember us talking about that. But then I went and looked at that, and that is a sentence directly out of the show note. Yeah. I said, listen in with our interview to hear how a stray thought becomes a novel. So I said, what part of Anne's journey did you relate to the most? And please say more about our theme of transformative journeys. And then she said, the creative journey of each individual is so unique and inspiring. I believe it is one of the best parts of life and something that is available to everyone. Here are 2 posts about my creative journey and transformation. And it was a couple of Instagram posts. And she founded an athleisure brand that is inspired by healing crystals. And that's why Unikite, that's how it's related to Unikite.
That definitely aligns with our
I mean,
aesthetic as a podcast.
Healing crystals are definitely speculative fiction.
So is athleisure wear in some ways. Also, ChatGPT just got his English major, I think, with that. Like, in this essay, I will talk to you about healing journeys.
It's going in his portfolio
a real
for sure.
healing journey.
It also reminded
we made
me
along the way.
of that speech of the beauty queen that's like, I believe U.S. Americans
And
it's just
such
like,
as?
and such as.
Like, don't have maps.
People trying to make money out here, but
Listen,
don't try and stretch it.
do what you got to do. I don't know. I don't know.
You know, it makes me respect Miss South Carolina and such as, because she was standing on a stage as a real human person with a nervous system having a reaction when she
Yes,
said all that
that's
shit.
true.
That email has no excuse
That's right.
ChatGPT does not have a nervous system. I guess.
that we know of.
You know, one way that she could have made it work is, I don't know if you know about this, but me and Lori, there's a certain type of athleisure that looks like Jedi clothes, and it's got the little folds,
Little ribs, kind of.
yeah, like ripped fabric looks like Jedi clothes, and usually if it's baggier, the better.
I got a Jedi cloak that I got many years ago at H&M.
Yeah,
I remember that.
I have a pair of like running tights that have like the knees are Jedi, so
I don't think I have any Jedi clothes.
Yeah.
Well, let's fix that.
I like a knit.
Shall we plot?
Let's do it. Shall you plot?
Mm.
I definitely
Please do.
didn't plot, so.
I never understood the plot, but it's okay.
No.
I mean, the broad strokes, but yeah. Okay.
That's all you need.
It doesn't have a unified plot.
It doesn't, yeah. All right, the last book we read, Mirror Dance, Miles was older. In this book, in Vor Game, we meet him as he's graduating from the Imperial Academy, and he receives his first service assignment to a bleak posting in the far north as a meteorologist, much to his dismay. He's not excited about this, but realizes he has to pay his dues if he ever wants to serve on a space navy ship. Coincidentally, this is also my dream. Upon arrival, he realizes the position is shit, and his commander is an asshole.
Ain't that every job?
He refuses to obey an order that is wrong and is charged with mutiny, but our boy Miles is a Nepo baby, so he just gets a slap on the hand, kept out of sight, and transferred to a different department, Imperial Security. He's given a sinecure. Do y'all know what a sinecure is?
Job.
It is like a job. It's like a job that's like, it's like counting paper clips. It's like it means nothing, but it's like a job of no stature.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's given a sinecure of an assignment. That's our word for the day.
I have so many SAT words I say from this book.
I had to Google a lot and a lot of British slang.
Yeah,
of course.
I have it written down.
So he has to go patrol the Hagen hub like you do. But he somehow manages to get involved in a wildly confusing plot that combines the missing emperor, Gregor, who I pictured as cousin Greg from Succession, a hot blonde pirate, his old boss, another old boss, and several different planets. Using his wily cunning, he resumes his alter ego as Admiral Naismith and carries the day along with his
Tyrion Lannister.
Yeah, and carries the day along with his band of merry Dendarians.
Mary Dendarians. I always have you guys watched the show Resident Alien?
I have not.
I've seen the pilot. I watched it on a plane. I thought it was good.
Is it new or old?
It's in its 4th season now, I think. But it's very cute. It's got Alan Tudyk as a little alien. He's adorable.
Oh, he's.
But there's a mayor in that show, and that's Greg.
I thought you meant Resident Evil, not Resident Alien.
That's different.
Yeah. It's like Alan Tudyk. I don't know if he's. Yeah. He plays a good robot / alien.
Oh yeah, he's great.
All right, goodies from Goodreads. Who wants to go?
Me, I want to go.
Go.
Matt gave it 1 star and said simply, should be retitled as the Boar Game.
Iconic. That's an iconic review.
I have another one that's short if I can be indulged.
Go for it.
But you guys go first in case you had this one.
I have to pick between 2. They're both my favorite.
We can read them all.
So, Dylan gave it 2 stars and said, "It's just convenience after contrivance after coincidence. This book is a space opera the way an argument you have in the shower is a debate."
I have 2, but we'll go in a
round.
Simon B gave it 2 stars, and this one's a couple sentences, so bear with me. Cyberpunk is the science fiction subgenre for high-tech / low-life stories. But is there a term for the science fiction that is high-tech plus anachronistic political systems? Space empires, space lords, space hereditary monarchs. Can we call this cyberposh? If so, this blend of cyberpunk, military, science fiction, and cyberposh left me wanting less.
Cyberposh. I can't wait till we get to Is It Lord of the Rings or Star Wars?
Oh, it's going to be great.
I can't wait.
Andrew Orange gave it 1 star and said, the main character, Miles Vorkosigan, saves a half-totalitarian neo-feudal empire, Barrier. Why?
Why, though? Derek says, I was going to say that Miles Vorkosigan is the biggest Mary Sue ever, but he's not because he doesn't have talent. He just has more luck than anybody else in the universe, which I think might be true.
And then I was Googling some questions, and Reddit, as usual, is my go-to to read what people say. And somebody said, is Vor Game indicative of other books in the series? And someone else said, not at all. Most of the Vorkosigan saga books hinge on one big coincidence as a plot driver, but not a constant sequence. The Vor Game is very much just a romp with some character development thrown in, designed to get Miles off Barrier and into a career of adventuring. And I think that's very true.
This is boys' adventure fiction.
It really is.
Yeah.
This reminds me of my men's adventure fiction
100%.
that I'm reading right now. So,
And it was a great time, if I do say so myself.
Did you see that the first part was a standalone novella?
I saw that. It makes sense because tonally it's very different.
Fully makes sense. And I like the novella.
I was having a blast. The first 30 pages, I was like, this is amazing.
It's like The Terror.
Yeah, it
it's
was.
cold. It's dangerous. Everyone's mean. Someone might eat you.
And then he gets mired in the quag of space.
And even that, I was good for, I think, until his second kidnapping. And then I was like, now, and then when he tries to explain the Sata-Gandans and the Triple Cross, I was like, I can't.
Thank God, because I was like, I really tried. I was
did
like,
too.
I'm going to read every word and I'm going to know what's going on in this intergalactic intrigue. And then I got to the end and I was like, I don't know who the bad guy is.
I think I figured out why. And I think, the first time we read a Vor book, someone was like, well, you don't have the whole picture. And that's not incorrect. And I think we still don't have the whole picture, but there's like 12 books and we've only read 3 and I still don't know.
And
just about got the picture at this point.
once again,
not of all the planets and hubs, maybe. But
I maintain, and Lois has said that she wrote these books so that you get something out of reading them in order, but you are intended to be able to go pick up any one standalone book and read it. And for the young people, this is largely because you could get the book that was at the store. And no author wanted you to be like, oh no, they only have number 4. Guess I can't buy this, even though it looks cool. They wanted you to be able to just buy number 4 without reading 1 through 3. So I think that's what she was going for. That's what she said she was going for. And I'm ascribing a motive that she hasn't said. But this one I don't think works as well as a standalone as the other 2 that we've read. I had a lot of questions about the backstory of his relationship with the Dendari. Is that right? Dendari?
Yeah.
Because they were like, you abandoned us. And I was like, by my math, he was 17 years old. Why is he your admiral? And how does a 17-year-old abandon a fleet of space mercenaries? I don't understand that.
I thought about that a lot. I was like, this is a child.
And he was like, I left Elena, Boz Jessek's wife. Aren't they the same age? They grew up together. Gregor was the one who was a little older. So I was like, she's 17. And he's like, I left the woman I loved, another man's wife.
Did we ever actually get his age in this book?
Yeah, he's 21.
They said he was 21.
I think
I couldn't
he's
remember.
21. He's 20 or 21.
I assume it was like graduating from the Naval Academy, year 21, 22.
And they say Gregor is 25 and he's 5 years older.
Oh, okay,
so he's 20 or 21.
Okay.
So he had to leave the Dendaris to go to college.
Well, so I was reading, so I think maybe it was Joe's write-up on it was, and by the way, not Joe's best essay.
Oh,
I thought so
A lot
too.
of comma splices.
I didn't read it. I finished this book 45 minutes ago.
Oh.
So I didn't do any research.
It's okay.
I think she enjoyed it, but it wasn't her favorite, it seemed like.
Yeah.
So,
So she says at the end of The Warrior's Apprentice, which is in Miles's life, the book that comes right before this book, that when he went off on this Dendari fleet situation, like that's how he earned his way into the Imperial Academy, which I am now very curious about. Like, did he just prove his mettle and then get to go to school, or like I'm very curious to read that one now and see what
It's kind of like the Bible. Like you get baby Jesus and then like adult Jesus. What was 12-year-old
This
Jesus?
is not a
like?
linear timeline, Haley.
So just generally speaking, did y'all like being back with the Vorkosigans?
I did. It was a good time.
Yes, these books are readable. And I think I like her writing style, that it's funny. And I like Miles, even though Miles is both Timmy and Lassie. He falls down the well and then he's like, oh no, I'm in a well. And then he rescues himself from the well. But I liked it. And, I told you guys the other day. So today, our time is Wednesday. And Sunday, Kevin had been out of town for most of the week. And Kevin came home Sunday evening and he had been to this incredible bookstore in Tacoma, Washington, the Tacoma bookstore. And he brought me a couple of books. And one of them is called Demon of the Waters, I think. And it's about a mutiny on the whale ship Globe. And I was like, oh my God, this is the best gift. And I settled in to start reading it. And suddenly I was like, fuck! I had not started the Vor game. The last week of the month really crept up on me.
February is that short month,
It is a tiny month.
It's a tiny little
So
month.
I just started reading it.
A month nub.
And that is a really long way of saying that most books I would not have been able to read in 2 days.
That's true.
But this one, I was like, I can do it. It moves along at a good clip. The sentences are not horrible. And the character is, he's a fun guy.
It's fun. It's good dialogue. It's choppy. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's Lois. Who don't love a Lois? I love a Lois.
I like the world building. I like the characters. And I think we all agreed that it's just pure Tyrion Lannister, Peter Dinklage voice.
This time around, absolutely.
She's just flinging this man from like one end of space to the other.
He
and
gets
just
into
seeing-
a scrape. He gets out of the scrape. Rinse, repeat.
Sometimes he runs into the emperor of his home planet.
Don't jump ahead.
I know.
but it's also his bestie too.
I
so.
know. It was. I mean, yeah.
Well, that's like The Wanderer, where the guy was kidnapped into space and ran into his friend who was kidnapped into space.
Nah.
Yeah.
I was like, The Wanderer. What's that? The last book we read. Got it.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of college thoughts because it is very much like You know, I think me and Anne could benefit from some of Lois's plot machinations. Like, it's that's what makes it, I think, so compulsively readable. It's like it's every, you know, it ends on a rising action each chapter, then the next chapter.
Oh, yeah.
Pulls you right along.
Yeah,
Pulls you right along.
so-
I think it got mired a little bit in his, like, you spent a lot of time in Miles's head trying to figure out what was going on. And so you heard a lot about all the other planets, but it was so much that it became a soup of bad guys. Like, I don't know whose hub he was on at any given time, or why they were mad at him, or like it was.
I didn't understand the double crossing because I didn't understand the crossing.
Yeah. Oh, like at one point, Cavillo, that's her name.
Yeah,
She's gonna get paid 3 times from triple crossing, and I was like,
I'll just take your word for it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So like, I would read the words, and I'd be like, okay. It'd be like a gray fuzzy spot. And I'd be like, oh, she's good at her double crossing. So,
yeah. She's good at doing crime. Okay, I want to back up to our cold Weatherman Island.
The best part of the book.
There's a whole dead body in a pipe, and we just never come back to that.
Oh,
and I kept waiting, and I was like, it can't really just be that he went into a pipe looking for the pastries he was hiding, and it was the wrong pipe, and he got stuck and drowned.
It was, though.
And that really was just it. I kept waiting to be like, oh, Metsov murdered him. He knew something. The pastries, something. There was something illegal hidden in them. There were diamonds or chips or something. Space cocaine.
Was that whole story just to like illustrate? I guess it was there to illustrate that Miles can problem solve and he won't take your word for things.
And that he has had to do some grunt work in his life.
And he has to do some grunt work, and that like life on this island is shitty. Like that.
I don't know. And that seems fine for a short story. That seems perfectly fine for a vignette of Miles's life. But then to like cram it into the beginning of this novel, it just doesn't, like, the two don't work together for me. And the connecting thread between them is Metsov. And Metsov is not really particularly important, I think, to the second story in this story.
That was the most soap stuff to
It's
get
just,
ahead.
it's just another scrape for him to
People
get
just
into.
keep showing up.
It's wild that she was like, you know what we need? It's not enough. One more.
You know how we say Atlanta is actually a small town? Space is a small town.
Apparently she wrote that. I don't know where I read this, but she wrote this as a backfill before Mirror Dance.
Oh.
Because like it needed, like she needed to get Miles into the situation where he could lead the Dendari into this situation. Somebody's probably going to correct me on that, but I feel like that sounds right. But yeah.
You know, I think I mentioned this on the Mirror Dance episode, but when you Google like Vorkosigan on Google image search, you see a lot of cosplay, and it's a lot of people that I've seen at DragonCon that I did not know what they were. I thought they were just generic military space people. But check it out. There's a lot of like red berets and like the Mandarin colors.
Oh, okay.
But and a lot of people will cosplay as Miles too, which is interesting. None of them look the same, which I think is fascinating.
Well, it's kind of up to your own. I guess you could go through these and take very diligent notes about every little description of the uniform. But
I also, I highly recommend Google image searching Miles Vorkosigan because tons of book covers will come up and he looks different in every single one too.
So one that's on the Wikipedia page, he looks like he doesn't look like a smaller
he looks like a little
person.
boy.
He either looks like a little boy or like a doll.
He does. Yeah, he looks like a Thunderbird or a Thundercat, whatever they are. Like the little.
Yeah.
What?
There's an old timey puppet show called Thunderbirds or Thundercats. I think it's Thunderbirds. Thunderbirds are go. Like Team America's based on it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Thundercats.
I don't know anything about it.
Thundercats?
Thunderbirds.
No.
Thundercats is
Not
different.
Thundercats.
That's a cartoon.
Thunderbirds, I think. Yeah.
That was like basically all of the Thundercats were my first cartoon crushes.
Oh yeah, the redhead one. Come on.
Chitara. Oh, you're talking about Lion-O. Male or female?
I think it was male. Who can say?
Chitara and Lion-O are.
Mine was always gonna be Robin Hood.
I used to
Fox
pretend
Robin
I was
Hood.
These
Chitara.
are Thunderbirds. There we go.
Oh, like that one looks like Team America.
Yeah, exactly. Like Team America used
He's
it
like
as
a
inspiration.
marionette.
I didn't know that. Oh, look at that. That's awesome. I did write down in my notes Chekhov's bunker.
Oh, I have a Chekhov too.
What's your Chekhov?
Chekhov's Scat Cat.
Oh, check out Scat Cat. Yeah.
First of all, Scat Cat, come on now. That was funny. And then they just were talking so much about it and how heavy it was and everything. And I was like, something's going to happen with this
We
thing.
had kind of the same Chekhov.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, cute. I have one college thought.
Okay.
Joe said he sees his superiors as future subordinates because he's a Nepo baby. And he's wrestling with this problem that he's got. I think she says maybe that they say this in Warrior's Apprentice, but the metaphor of Miles as an onion. Naismith inside Ensign Vorkosigan, inside Lord Vorkosigan, inside Miles. Which one is the real Miles? And how he's sort of controlled from the outside in or the inside out. I can't remember what she's saying. But it's interesting because like his interaction with, he's like, part of the theme of this book is that he's insubordinate. Like he can't take direction. He thinks he's the smartest one in the room all the time. He never seems to be disabused of that notion because
drinks
he always
and he knows
wins.
things.
Right? He always wins, so he might be right. I don't know.
Well, that's the thing with the army is like doesn't matter. Like that there's got to be the chain of command. And,
Right. He just can't deal.
And in this book, it does make him a little one note, and in a way that I feel that he is less so in Mirror Dance, because in Mirror Dance there are grave errors in Mirror Dance, but in this book, it's like he is right every time he second guesses someone.
Like the minute he takes off with Ungari or whatever his name was, like you're like, oh no, he needs to get rid of them, and he needs to go do his own things. He's way smarter than this guy. Like you're already there. Like he's gonna win because he's the smartest guy in the room. But it was interesting thinking about like his upbringing. Like that she shows that his upbringing plays into how he treats these people, right? Because if you're raised with these people, you're not going to be afraid of them. Like you're not going to see them as like powerful, infallible people. You're going to see them as, oh, my dad used to get drunk with you on Saturdays in the hallway or whatever. I don't know. So I thought it was interesting, like showing how different it is for him to be in like an ensign position than some of the people he graduated with who are like excited about their first posting and like weren't really thinking about it that hard. But I don't know if he's justified, but it was interesting context on his character. I thought.
It's got to be hard when you want to be in the military, but you already have, a physical handicap. And also you're going to get shit for being basically like the pseudo emperor's son. Like, yeah, it's hard.
You know what made me the maddest in this book? At the very beginning, they were in line to get their little assignments. And he was in line behind Vorpatrol. But Vorkosigan should come before Vorpatrol.
Oh, yeah.
And it made me mad for like 4 whole pages.
Maybe it was because it's based on like GPA or something.
Maybe, right.
Or who got there first. Because everybody's last name starts with a Vor.
So this book is very true because a good friend of mine from high school went to the Coast Guard Academy and he fucked around. He graduated like last place and he got sent to Alaska for 3 years. Because first choice you get to go to like San Diego or Jacksonville or somewhere sunny. And he was like, I'll be in Kodiak, Alaska.
Oh, I bet he saw a bear.
He probably sure did.
I like a bear.
Yeah. One thing that I thought was fascinating, the amount of times and effort she spends describing uniforms in this. Did you notice this?
I know that there were lots of suede
colors,
boots.
Lots of boots, like dress, undress uniforms. The
Is undress a real thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's not a current thing, but it used to be. It's like
a funny sounding phrase to me.
Yeah, it's as opposed to a dress uniform, so it's just like a casual uniform. I think
there's fatigues. There's undress and there's dress, I think, are the general tiers. Like
for
your
this
comfort
world.
clothes. Then you're like, I've just got to do regular business
athleisure
things.
based on healing crystals.
Then I got to go to the ball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, like a lot of times.
That's probably wrong, but that's how I think of it.
And every time they don't fit him because did y'all know he was short?
He's got to wear that lady's
gotta
clothes.
wear a woman's
He's got to wear those ladies'
uniform.
I did like that he overtook the Dendari Yai in his slippers.
Yeah.
That was fun. That was cute. He's already short and he's walking around in his little bedroom slippers, little bunny slippers, and he just takes that man's army from him.
Yep.
That was great.
I guess I don't mind the clothes thing happening over and over because I suppose it would happen over and over, and it happens in the other books too, in the other book. And I think it's an interesting example of, in spite of all of his privilege, in that way he's still not thought of. And that's probably true to
That's true.
many people's experiences. Even just as far as, remember how they didn't have enough lady size spacesuits?
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, anybody who doesn't fit the mold is an afterthought. And so as powerful as he is, as privileged and petted as he is still an afterthought in that regard.
One thing that I discovered while researching for this is that there is so much Vorkosigan fan fiction on the internet.
Oh,
I bet.
That does not surprise
Archive
me.
of Our Own, which is it's called AO3. It's one of the bigger fanfic sites. Has 173 pages with 3,000.
How many pages?
173
Like search result
web
pages?
Yes. And I looked through some of them. Some are sex.
I would have assumed at least 75% of it.
Yeah.
I read, so there's a lot of really short ones, which I like. It's like little Vorkosigan microfiction, but one was written in all caps, like it was insane.
The whole thing was in all caps?
Yeah, but it was only like maybe 5 or 6 paragraphs, so it was short, and it was just like the worst sex you've ever seen.
Aww. Well, it can't be good all the time, Haley.
It was just so bad.
Is it like My Dad Wrote a Porno sex?
Yeah. Well, it wasn't even that clever. It was just like very mechanical. But it was the all caps, so, like it was screaming at me, and it was Miles, and it was just weird. So.
Aw.
I have a college prompt.
Man, we should have all written our own fanfic for this episode.
It's interesting for us to have read Barayar first and get accustomed to its stark and hardcore military ethos, then to see a Barayaran sun flitting across the galaxy. It's kind of like Star Wars versus Lord of the Rings in real life.
What?
Yeah, that's all. So, like, a lot of this book is talking about how it's called the Vor game because he's got to be a Vor and play the game. But I didn't quite understand, like, is it just being good at army? I don't
Mirror Dance, in a way, seemed more Vor gamey to me than this one did in some ways.
Because it was a Vor v Vor.
Mm-hmm.
And because, what's his? Mark. Because Mark was back on Barayar trying to figure out how to, like, navigate the situation.
Well, and I guess this is more than Vorkosigan because we have Gregor Vorbara.
Yeah.
So there's more than one Vor gaming around the cosmos, the very small town of the cosmos. I was thinking they kind of live in the slowness because they were talking about how in some parts of the galaxy or whatever of the universe, you can just do a fat line squirt as as Dan Simmons would say, and like blast as soon as you come through a wormhole, you can blast your message to the next wormhole, like electronically, I guess. But it sounds like where he lives, there's just like a paper letter on your boat. It's like the USPS in Atlanta.
Yeah.
You just better hope that the boat gets there with your paper letter and that it hasn't fallen under somebody's locker somewhere. You never see it again.
It's very much like Star Wars: A New Hope and Rogue One, where it's like they've got to have the little CD-ROM because Vader's coming when like I haven't.
They're flimsy.
Yeah, like I haven't not sent something digitally in years. Like I can't imagine sitting like secret plans on a CD-ROM.
You love a postcard, Haley.
I do love a postcard. That's true.
I mean, that's the best way to make sure it don't get hacked. Is carry it around in your pocket.
The flimsy was funny because like flimsy is such a pejorative term. Like, oh, look at this flimsy. It's like,
It's kind of like floppy, though.
yeah, that's true.
I figured it was a direct line from floppy to flimsy. That's funny. Did you guys get hung up on cream pie of justice by any chance?
Oh, at the end when he was like, we need to have a cream pie fight.
Yeah, that's gross.
Yeah, that was very silly.
That's where my fanfic would come from.
I laughed a lot at, and I'm sure we mentioned this on the other podcast, but the planet Jackson's Hole. And I think about it a lot because it's not HOLE, which would be even funnier.
It's whole.
Jackson's Hole what?
Jackson's Hole, Jackson's Whole Milk. I don't know. And then there's an entire planet called
the name.
There's an entire planet called Pablo Escobar.
Listen, you raise kittens, you run out of names. It's like you got this many planets, you gotta find some names. I think that isn't his mother's planet just called Beta?
Yeah, but that does become confusing to me when they're like Satan's, like Sataganda. Well, when I just said Satan's out loud, it sounds like Satan, like Lucifer. Yeah, Sataganda and Beta. I was like, isn't she from Sataganda? And then no, she's from Beta.
Like, no, she's from Escobar.
And I do appreciate that Lois, she starts all the planet names with different letters. So I think she was trying to help us out there, but I needed more help than that.
There was one book we read once where all the main characters started with like a D, and I was like, I can't.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Remember the last book? We had 2 people named Dawn in The Wanderer.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's true.
Why? It was very funny to me that there are planetary accents.
Yeah.
Like
the whole
he's
planet.
using his Baton accent versus his Barayaran accent. Like, what is an Earth accent?
I think about this a lot when I've been watching way too much Star Trek recently because that's my comfort watch when things are hitting the fan. And they go to a planet and then they just like, I guess they just meet with the planetary representative.
Mr. Earth.
Mr. Earth. Like, I always think about that. They go to a planet and every so often
proper
they'll
planets
mention
have
something like we're going to the southern hemisphere or something like that. But
a proper planet has a planetary hegemon.
I mean, London proper has like 10 at least.
Right.
I'm sure.
Right. Like there's so many on Earth, there are 1 gajillion accents. So the idea that you can disguise your heritage by switching to the accent of a whole planet is very funny to me.
It's possible some of these planets aren't entirely livable.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Did you also...
That's if I'm feeling generous to Lois.
Did you also then try and do Tyrion's accent in a different way like I did? Because I would read out lines out loud trying to be like, oh, yes, like in a Tyrion accent, which I'm not good at. I can't do it. I'm sure.
No, I want to hear it now.
No, it's not good. I would try and it wouldn't work. But then I'd be like, oh, maybe it's like governor. And that's his baby.
Hey, governor? Oh, no. Now I'm going to have to read emails about that.
Apologies to anyone listening who has an accent that is not ours.
Yeah.
Everybody on the planet.
But that's what I would do with this book because like she mentions so many things so many times that you're like, oh, I'll have my bell, and then I'll have
He would have his Baton accent.
You know, one thing that fully delighted me was Miles's weird like sexual tension encounter with that woman on the waterbed. Did y'all catch that?
Oh, the water couch. Yeah.
They're on a wet settee or something. I don't know how
yes, a water-filled settee.
You can tell this was written in 1990.
I was delighted that they were on a waterbed.
It made me think of that. Remember the Rooms to Go commercial from several years ago that was very funny? And the woman was like, I'm in a relationship with my settee. And she's like at a restaurant with her parents. And she's like, this is my settee. Do you remember that?
I don't.
Oh, so funny. I think it was like semi-viral of a commercial. I remember one time I was walking to work and a UPS driver was like, you look like that lady from the Rooms to Go commercial. And they knew exactly what he was talking about. I was like, my settee.
I hope it was the same UPS driver that I chased down to get our Hugo Awards.
Lois's word choices.
I have a whole list of ones I didn't know.
Swatted means, and our British listeners will probably know most of these, but I didn't know a lot of the British slang, but swatted, to study.
Oh.
Like he's like, I had to swat up on my English or whatever. And I was like,
I didn't take that one down.
Yep.
I have snabbled.
Oh, your next one's my one.
I don't know if snabbled is a real word. My Kobo didn't know it. Bafflegabbing.
My Word document did not know bafflegabbing.
Solipsistic is a word that I remember from college, but I can never remember what it means.
It means very selfish.
That's that's one of those words that just won't stick.
Yeah.
Sententious, also a word I've heard, but I don't know what it means.
Like causing fights.
Gonfalonier? Is it Frenchy?
Is that like from
Gonfalonier?
Gonfalonier? Hold on, wait.
Gonfalonier?
Gonfalonier.
It had a definition in my book, but I don't remember what it is. While Amy's looking, satrapy?
I Google that, and that's because I'm like a satrap is like a kingdom in like Persia.
A gonfalon is a ceremonial banner or flag that hangs from a crossbar.
Oh, yeah. It was like a mascot.
Oh, yeah.
And
like a standard.
Neurasthenic. I don't know what that means.
I think it's like brainy.
Brain stuff.
Brain stuff.
Brain stuff. She was really going for the SAT words.
She got full credit.
Every time I read the word perforce, I highlighted it.
Oh.
I thought of you, Haley, because I thought perforce really has an oppressive fantasy feeling to it.
It does.
Oh, neurasthenia is a very it's a consumption, a condition characterized by chronic physical and mental exhaustion. I have that.
Oh, me too. I have it too.
I just WebMD'd myself. Thanks, Lois. It was a popular diagnosis from 1869 to 1930. It was attributed to the stresses of modern life and a lack of nervous energy.
Well, do we ever still have a modern life?
It's also known as mental asthenia or fatigue reaction.
Huh. There we go.
I have a fatigue reaction pretty often. Also, like, she taught me a new phrase called an unarmed man in a battle of wits. That's my new favorite. I've used it in a conversation since I read this book.
She used several times cleaning devices that were sonic, like sonic laundry, and I need that.
Oh, yeah.
The sonic dishwasher.
Every time they talk about a sonic shower in Tarek, I'm like, yes, now. I want that now. Because then I would actually take showers more often.
I liked one time when Miles said, it could be, or I guess the narrator said, it could be worse was always an unassailable assertion. And I liked that because we say that about these books a lot.
Yeah.
We said it about The Wanderer, in fact.
Several things made me cry, including...
Really?
Oh.
Yes. Because I'm fragile.
That's okay.
Tung, the guy who's in charge of the fighting, I guess. He kept fangirling about Miles's dad. and he would say things like, "Oh, maybe I'll get to meet him." And every time he got excited about meeting Miles' dad, I just cried a little. It was just kind of weirdly wholesome.
I don't even remember that.
I had a slightly eye-rolly reaction to that only because I think that Miles's two identities are so stupid. And I thought to myself, if Tung is like a fanboy for Errol Vorkosigan, he doesn't know that he married a Baton named Cordelia Naismith, and he doesn't know that he has a small son.
He's a fan of his military career.
Oh, wait, I just realized that was her maiden name.
Yes,
She's part of his
the penny
military
dropped.
career, though. She's part
That's
of his
true.
military
That's
career.
true.
And then they got married. Like, that's a pretty cool
had a
story.
mutant.
And then they had a little fella, son.
Just a little fella.
And I just was like, if he's such a fan of him, like, this would be on the Wikipedia. I don't understand why he isn't like, Miles Naismith. Any relation from Beta? Any relation to Cordelia Naismith?
I just assumed that he's not interested in the women commanders, just the man commanders.
Well, that's my misogynist moment then.
Yeah. It would be like if Prince William, when he was 18, was like, I'm Admiral Windsor.
It's a coincidence. Don't worry
Admiral
about it.
William Windsor.
But even that makes more sense because Prince William is just a guy with blonde hair and average height. Like, nobody looks like Miles, it sounds like.
Yeah, that's right too. He's visually distinctive.
Yeah. Across the
And
galaxy.
It is clear that this is a small town. You might say, "Oh, we're in space. There's a lot of people." No, there aren't.
It's just like Superman. Like, you put the glasses on and it's Clark Kent. You take them
It's
off.
like-
and it's Superman. You can't tell.
It's like
you can never tell.
If William was like, "I'm William Spencer,
Yeah. General Spencer.
General Spencer from England." No big
I
deal.
haven't gone off to uni yet, but I'm going to rule the sea like like a 17-year-old guy.
I mean, when 17, that's when William was hot, though. So it might have
That's
worked.
true.
Might have worked. Who knew Harry would be
Now
a hot
Harry's
one?
hot.
I
I
don't know.
didn't- I
Who knew?
didn't-
Who knew?
Have you seen them? We probably shouldn't get into British royalty politics, but there's a scene where it's like once he started acting like Charles, Princess Diana snatched his hair from him.
I think that's fine to
Yeah.
say.
Snatched it from heaven.
Yeah. It made him go bald.
Did you guys catch at the end that Miles nearly meowed?
Yes.
Does anyone understand
No.
what that was?
There's a couple things that
I read that 1 hour ago. I remember it.
The ending is weird.
The ending is weird. I don't know why he's meowing at Elena. I don't know why you would ever meow at anyone. Actually, I take that back. I want you to meow at me all the time. That's got to be the outro.
Yeah.
Also, throughout Mirror Dance, wasn't Miles put in a box so that he could be in stasis until someone could reanimate him? Like,
Yeah.
why aren't these people who are getting hurt in the space battle going into those boxes?
Oh yeah.
I think maybe they don't have the boxes. I guess.
But where did the box come from?
Well, now the Dendari are sponsored by the Barryaran
Yeah.
Space Navy or whatever. So I think they probably have a lot more resources once we get to Mirror Dance.
Yeah.
I guess I have to reread Mirror Dance and see where that came from.
At this point, they're sort of early Cheng Ho.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
remember the Cheng Ho?
it's all connected.
She also,
There's really one
It's
book.
all the same universe. Oh, yeah. All of them are just waiting for the Cheng Ho to show up.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Yeah. Lois also just likes to put Miles in small places. Like, so at the beginning, he's in
Cells,
like, he's
bunks.
in a small tent that gets sucked in, and then he's in a little bunk, and then he's in a little
Is
box.
this uterine? Is it uterine?
That
Yeah.
reminds me of
Is
how
it birth every
She
time?
never lets you forget.
Well, he
he's
did.
small.
He did grow up in that little tiny container.
he was in a uterine replicator.
right, yeah.
It reminds me of the seasons of Great British Bake Off where Sandy Toskvig was the co-host, and they were always like, she's in a drawer, she's in a bag, she's very small. And it was just like this running gag. And my very petite, wonderful friend Courtney, who also loves Great British Bake Off, at one point she got so fed up. She was like, why is Sandy always in a bag? We get it. She's short. Why is she in a bag? It's kind
I
of
mean,
like
she
that.
ain't wrong. The jokes during those couple seasons were kind of tired.
Yeah. The whole joke can't just be a small
Yeah.
person is in a bag.
Noel and Allison are endlessly creative, though.
Yeah, they are. They are. But there will never be another Melon Sue.
No,
I
but-
do love Allison.
Noel and Allison are right underneath Melon Soup.
They are. They are. A close second.
Oh, that was all my questions. Oh no!
That's all my thoughts.
One last thing I LOL'd at was when Overholt, the hapless sergeant that has to run
Bodyguard.
around, with Miles, he gets promoted to take care of Gregor, and escort Gregor back to the Barryaran Empire. And Overhaul leans in and whispers, "Sir, I haven't taken the advanced course." He doesn't know how to guard the Emperor because he
I'm
didn't
not
take that
qualified.
class, that one class.
I mean, he didn't even do a particularly good job
No.
guarding Miles, so I understand his concern.
But apparently it worked better for Gregor. I think Gregor probably takes direction a little better than Miles.
yeah, that's true.
Can't do anything.
Poor Gregor and his depression.
Oh, I know. That whole storyline was real sad. I was trying to decide whether I felt sorry for him or not because,
Oh, I do.
I mean, I do and I don't, I guess, because like his problems are in a lot of ways not real problems. Like they're it's all relative. So I know it's a real problem to him, and it's and
He
it
just
can
feels
feel
scared.
I'm sure he feels very confined
He
and
doesn't
very
have his own life.
overwhelmed.
And
Yeah.
it is also very likely that someone will assassinate him.
Yeah.
Those are real problems.
And he
I'm
like
not saying, I guess I don't necessarily think it's not a real problem exactly, but it's like compared to the problems that people who don't have infinite resources have.
I mean,
that's what my therapist says. Like otherwise, if money and fame fix things, famous people wouldn't kill themselves.
I know.
Right.
That's why I was waffling. I mean, I think in the end I do feel sorry for him. I can't imagine what it must feel like to like not be able to choose anything for yourself.
everyone in
Yeah.
this room knows where their next meal is coming from, and yet we all have problems.
Yeah.
You know?
That's why I know it's relative.
And he's got the trauma of like his dad did some really horrible things, and he's worried
True.
like, do I have these tendencies? I don't know.
That conversation was interesting.
The conversation where Miles was trying to convince him to talk to someone, and then he suggests Cordelia. And I really liked that because it called back to the first book that we read.
Yep.
Yeah, I was writing this on the same template that I used to write on the Mirror Dance notes. And one of the things we complained about was that all the men were constantly outsourcing their feelings and consciences to Cordelia. And
Yeah.
I was like, oh, we're doing it again.
Yeah, we are doing it again. However, I remember distinctly one of the things that I really liked about the first book that we read. What was it called?
Baryar.
Yeah.
Oh, I would never have remembered that. And when she is riding through the woods and they're trying to escape and he's 5 years old and she just cares about him because he's a little boy who doesn't have any parents. And she's like, I have to protect him, not because he's the emperor, but because he's a little boy.
Yeah.
And then Miles calls back to that and says she could be the only person on Barrayar to automatically put Gregor the man before Gregor the emperor.
Yeah.
All our ranks look like optical illusions to her, and you know she can keep her own counsel.
Yeah.
This book needs more Cordelia.
It really
I have to
does.
say.
I was thinking it the whole time. I was like, I don't know where Cordelia is and I don't like it.
Yep.
Like, where is she?
She was pregnant that episode, and they couldn't film with her, so they just did the
Where is mother?
They could hide it behind a desk for like a while, but not anymore.
She opens the fridge
Not
behind her. Yeah. All right. Any more talking points, guys?
I mean,
I'm ready for segments.
Segments. Feminist favorite. My feminist favorite is Cavillo pulling off her three-way heist. You go, girl.
Whatever. it
Get
was.
paid, girl. Get paid.
Get that bag.
Mine was watching Miles get some real-time wokeness when he was thinking about his dad and his mom. And one of his thoughts was, so why do I never think about my ambition as ship command like my mother before me instead of my father? Girl.
Nice.
That's mine.
Real-time wokeness.
That's my feminist favorite.
Well done.
You read yours. I want to hear what you said.
I said when Miles asks himself why he never thinks of his ambition to ship's command as being like his mother, who was an actual ship's commander.
I think that
Why don't I identify more with my mother?
this is a great internal process for a man to go through.
Yes.
What's the Prince lyric? Maybe I'm just like my mother. Too bold.
She's never satisfied.
All right. Misogynist moment.
I think it was when they had Cavillo in custody, and they sent 2 women to guard her instead of men, because there's no way that the women could be corrupted by this woman, because
There's no space lesbians.
either women have no imagination, have no ambition, or are not gay.
I actually thought it was for her own safety.
Oh, I did not read it that way. I read it more like putting Loki in a gag.
That's interesting. Mine was when they're talking about Oser, early days before Oser's gone very bad. And Tongue says to Miles,
This is my other one. This is my other one.
I'd pay money to watch you make him kiss Thorn. And I was like, this book is so fucking, like, these books are so mean to that character.
So they said the word hermaphrodite, and my note was, oh, here we go.
Yeah.
But we didn't actually ever hear that again, and we
No.
didn't do the same crap we did in Mirror Dance. But then that came out, and I was like,
Yeah, and it's like
They're barely in this,
That guy's
too.
supposed to be a dick, I guess, but like,
Tongue? Tongue's not
oh, I
supposed
thought
to
that
be
was.
a dick.
Oh no, Tongue said.
Tongue was saying to Miles, like, you should make him kiss Belle as a punishment. I'd like to see that happen.
There was also another tongue line that I had as my other misogynist moment, which was when Elena was talking to Tongue about Oser hitting on her.
Oh, yeah.
And he said, I thought you ought to be flattered, ignore it, and move on. And I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, Tongue.
I'm sorry, what?
He was not winning with me.
Yeah.
But then he made me cry with his fangirling, so I forgave
That's
him.
true. I said this one wasn't too bad in terms of the things that we read, which is good. Metzov, I know, is supposed to be a bad guy, but at one point he says, a man disarmed in war might as well be a woman. Useless.
And then that line that Kavalev flings out there with it, which is apparently what he'd been telling her about open your legs to me or I'll blow your brain. It's terrible.
Yeah,
I don't think that's the book being misogynist.
I think it
that's
is
why
Metzov,
that's why it wasn't my misogynist moment.
Yeah, that's why it was hard for that
But
one.
those other two things felt so casual.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also am curious, like, why we have Belle Thorne as a character only to use them as sort of a joke.
Yeah.
It's almost saved by the fact that the character is very competent and self-actualized and like seems all right. But agreed. Like it's very much
it's kind of like
too on the nose a lot of the time with
you know what I think a lot of early 20th century humor was based on the idea of men in drag too, and that's why I think trans people and even drag is like looked upon as like humorous when it doesn't have to be, or it shouldn't be. So I think this is just it's like in that same pigeonhole. It's just like it's different, it's weird, gross.
Yeah.
All right, fantastical foods.
Boob talk?
Oh, oops. Did I get out of order?
I just wanted to.
Oh, I didn't have boob talk, so I skipped it. Sorry.
My only boob talk was her fine pelt of hair.
Why is it a pelt?
Why is it a pelt?
I don't understand.
It is described as a pelt more than one time.
Is it because it's cut short? Is it because it's short?
I hope it's because she actually has a pelt. Like she's one of the space cats.
Is it made out of beaver fur? Bush is in right now, so maybe she was ahead of her time.
70s Bush.
Pelt. I have, it's Cavillo. Her jumpsuit was now skin-fitting red silk with a down-curving neckline, a glittering red ruff rising from the back of the neck to frame her sculptured head, and high-heeled red suede boots. It sounds like she's wearing a Slutty Devil costume from Party City, or she's dressed like him from the Powerpuff Girls.
Go back to Party City where you belong.
The other thing, as I was reading that, it made me think of... who in Tu Wong Fu wears like the red silky jumpsuit? Is it Vita wears a red silky jumpsuit to... No, Noxema wears a red silky jumpsuit at the Strawberry Social. Man, that
What's
really...
a down curving neckline?
Down curving.
We thinking scoop?
Just
like a scoop neckline?
It would be fun for us all to draw what we think.
And then I had another description of her. It's not a visual description of her, but her breath puffed against Miles's ear. A faint, spicy fog. What does that mean? What is a spicy
I
fog?
also like that she kept trying to poison him with her perfume.
It's so Chanel number 5.
Understand if that was supposed to be an irritant initially, or if she just like once she found out he was allergic to it, then she doused herself.
I think it's that second one.
Yeah.
So he's just very sensitive to perfume.
He's got a lot of
Some people are.
delicacies.
I am also very sensitive to perfume. Oh, and then he like just reaches in his pocket and has nose plugs that he can breathe
He
through.
brought them on purpose because he knew she was going to do that, you see.
Okay.
His nose plugs.
And they exist.
Yeah. His nose plug things kind of reminded me of writing in the Narantel gym. I was like, and now I can breathe underwater.
And the water has double oxygen.
My fantastical... Were you at fantastical food yet?
No, I'm done with boobs.
Okay,
you
yeah.
have boobs?
Fantastical
No
boob. I don't have any boobs.
I picked pastries because you don't see pastries a lot. And I'm sorry.
No. I'm just still mad about the box of pastries.
Well, you don't get... What?
I think it's really stupid that the guy drowned going to look for his box of cookies and he went in the wrong pipe. I'm still smarting over that very stupid
I
plot
think a
point.
bunch of really bored, sad 18-year-old dudes in like the Arctic Army are going to make some crazy mistakes. So
I mean,
hide them under your bed.
people will
That's what I'm
find
gonna
them
look.
there.
How are you going to forget
Then they'll
which
beat
pipe?
you with a sock full of nickels.
You're going to forget which pipe and go in the wrong pipe, and now you're dead, and no one ate them.
I've seen that
Nobody got to eat the cookies.
those army
nobody
beds
knew
are
he was
like an
gone.
inch thick, and you know like that's 60 men that live in the bay would beating him up.
No one was looking for him.
Nobody was looking for him. How long had he been down there? I don't even
Like a
know.
month or
And they didn't
something?
care.
I'm sorry, I interrupted your.
That's okay. I was just going to say I picked the pastries just so that I could say pastries.
Yeah, I would never have thought of the dead body pastries, but I did love the ration jerky.
I meant the pastries at the end that were delicious.
Oh,
Not the pastries in the pipe.
I thought the pipe.
You mean like the moldy murder pastries that are sodden?
Oh, no, the
the
ones
cream pies.
at the Emperor's Palace, the cream pie of justice.
Mine, yeah, I like the ration jerky because I was trying to figure out if it was savory or not. I think it was.
The ones he kept calling dog treats.
Yeah, so it's like proteiny. And then at the end, at one point, when he's on one of the ships going to one of the planets, he gets delivered a balanced breakfast, like an old cereal commercial. And I was like, so like orange juice, milk, and the cereal.
Bran flakes.
Yeah.
Mine
Why
was
does a balanced breakfast always have at least 3 beverages? Coffee, milk, orange juice.
Part of a balanced breakfast.
mine is a little esoteric, I think. It's when Cavilo, who I couldn't remember her name, so I put the mean hot lady. When the mean hot lady says, "The day they finally grind you up and spit you out, I'm just sorry I won't be there to watch because you're gonna be hamburger." Which is such a funny thing to say in a space opera.
Hamburger.
Do you think they still have Hamburger Helper in the future?
I exactly thought of Hamburger Helper, and hamburger
Now I
in
want some.
italics
Now
too.
I want some Hamburger Helper.
They really leaned on hamburger.
Hamburguesa?
Chica hamburguesa.
Elsewhere, we had vat grown beef, so I was surprised she didn't say vat grown hamburger.
Yeah.
Maybe she comes from a place with real hamburgers.
She's from Old Earth.
It's one step behind, just like it's acquaintance for you.
The planetary representative of Earth is Mayor McCheese.
He will throw a hamburger your way.
Ronald McDonald is the prime minister.
Grimace, who is Grimace?
The Exchequer, Lord of the Exchequer, Ronald McDonald.
Do y'all know about Grimace's Irish cousin? So
McGrimace?
no.
Scottish.
No, Matt Grimace. Would
Matt
be
Yeah.
Grimace.
So
Scottish.
me and Amy's homeland, Savannah, Georgia, is very into St. Patrick's Day.
Oh, yeah.
And it wasn't until I got to college when I realized that not everybody gets it off. It was like I got a day off of school to go to parade, and we always had Shamrock Shakes. And an old marketing campaign, and they're bringing him back currently this year. So you have Grimace, the big purple guy, and then you have Uncle O'Grimacy. And he's green, and pull up a picture of him. It's amazing. So
Grimussy means something different.
Grimacy! Not Grimace.
That doesn't mean what it used to mean. Oh, I just woke Kevin up.
Oh no! Why is he so furry?
He
Is
looks
Grimace
like-
always that furry?
He looks like the thing from the Mucinex commercial.
That stuff that comes out of you when you cough?
The blob. Yeah, you know they have the little personified mucus blob in the Mucinex.
I do remember that now.
And he wears a hat like that too.
You know what? He's kind of charming.
But he
Uncle
was recently
O'Grimacy.
he was recently on the Today Show because he's back.
Grimussy.
Grimacy.
We lost Kevin.
Not Grimacy.
You're gonna put your whole Grimussy into that Shamrock Shake.
Uncle Grimacy.
Shamrock Shake that Grimussy.
It's like a grimoire. It's full of dark secrets.
No. You can't save it. No.
Sorry. I'm sorry I made fun of your ancestral McDonald's character.
You know what? They're not good, but I still drink them.
They're not.
They're mint. It's a mint milkshake.
Oh, I like mint.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
like
really hate them, but it is
You got to do it once.
nostalgic.
Yeah.
So
You hate them. When I worked
I don't
at
like
Starbucks,
mint things.
That's true. You
when
don't.
I worked at Starbucks, we got bottled mint frappuccinos, and I thought they were good. And then my friend Fred tasted one, and he goes, "Tastes like Maalox." And I was like, "Oh, it does." And I didn't think I ever had Maalox, but I just know that he's right.
He is right. They tried to make it fresh tasting and they failed.
Soap stuff.
Oh, okay.
Lori, go to town.
I've already had a lot of complaints about the Admiral Naismith identity. That was really that's mostly it. That
A secret identity? Come on.
seems
Yeah.
to work.
Yeah.
Because he's distinctive looking. He's using his mother's last name and his own first name.
He's
It's very silly.
He's a little boy.
No one in the entire space community has heard that they have a short kid.
and Cordelia Naismith is his mother. Drives me nuts.
And do you just show up 17 years old? I'm going to be your admiral.
I'm your admiral.
We gotta read
I've got
Warriors
zits.
Apprentice to see how that
I
went
know,
down. We gotta see how that
know.
went down.
Bumping into Gregor in the same space jail.
Yep.
Yeah, we already talked
It's
about it.
Gregor. It's Metsov. No.
They're like, hey,
People
hey.
popping up left and right.
Take off this mask.
Apparently it's a very small space.
Small space.
There was one time when Metsov said something along the lines of, if it hadn't been for you, and Haley just did the tearing the mask off gesture like from Scooby-Doo.
Yeah,
and I was
you-
like, this is a real Scooby-Doo moment.
You guys, I was watching Deep Space Nine, Star Trek Deep Space Nine,
Good idea.
and I had never watched it cover to cover, so I started from the beginning. And in the first season, there's an episode where the space sheriff, Odo, literally rips someone's face off to reveal him as the murderer. It was amazing.
Have you gotten to the one where he says, he wasn't just a hero, he was a union cobber?
Have I?
Amy's pursing her lips at me. It's called Tribunal. Probably not if you're in the first.
No, I just watched that
Oh,
one.
you did?
That's what I was just thinking. Is like, was it in that one? I watched that one yesterday. And I was like, that's got to be the episode, but I can't actually remember the line.
He wasn't just a hero. He was a union man.
Union cobber.
The soap stuff too. So Metsov gets fired, like dishonorably discharged from the army, and then in a matter of months is like pirating. I mean, that is the most soap
It's
stuff. I
so
think.
silly. We got one villain and he's everywhere, and he's not that good.
And he's so mean. He's got like the grumpy face,
The lady villain was way better.
but also very flat, but hot.
Gregor wished she was real.
I have a college thought. I think she's Miles's Irene Adler
Who's Irene Adler?
from Sherlock Holmes.
She might be Miles' Irene Adler. I wonder if she ever shows up again.
I wonder too, because the fact that they let her go,
It's his, it's like, it's a woman who's like as smart as him and they're kind of in love.
I've seen the movie, but I
they're sort of nemesis.
Yeah.
and she's as smart as him, and he is. They have like a sort of a mutual obsession. I
Rachel
think.
Oh,
McAdams.
her. Yeah.
Oh, I haven't seen the movie.
Oh, the movie's so good with Jude Law and a mustache. And it's got a great soundtrack. I love it. Yeah. Did you like the book?
Yes.
I thought it was okay. I liked the other ones a lot better.
Yeah, it's not her
But
best that we've read.
It's
but
readable and it's fun, so I have nothing against it.
Yes, I feel the same.
I rollicked along with
I
it.
enjoyed it. I loved the first part. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
yes, no.
I
Well,
can
I
tell
thought the first part was great.
You will pine for the day we were reading this one when you start reading Stand on Zanzibar.
Oh.
Let me just go ahead and tell you that.
Boo.
Yeah, I was like, oh my God, we've got a murder mystery on a snowy, deserted island.
What more can we
And
ask
then
for?
it wasn't actually a murder mystery.
Yeah,
A
the
man
whole
just
thing-
wandered into the wrong drain pipe after his cookies.
Lori is so upset at the tragedy of this man's life.
I mean, and
Well,
I've
it's
said
just that no one cared.
I've said before, and I said in The Wanderer when the one guy, Doc, went over the cliff and died, and I was like, well, that was unceremonious. Death is usually unceremonious.
That's true.
But this really seemed like it was setting us up for a murder mystery.
Man, imagine if it had been a murder mystery on
I
this
thought-
island.
And I thought maybe Metsov, that the guy had something on Metsov, and Metsov murdered him and stuffed him in a pipe.
A lot of places we could have gone with
A
that.
lot of places.
That's our fanfic.
But instead, we were just like,
We'll
no,
write
he just was looking for his cookies.
Because I never read
Which
mysteries.
is honestly how I'm gonna die. I'm gonna be reaching for the ice cream and I'm gonna fall and I'm
You're
gonna break my
stick
neck.
your tongue to the back
And
of
someone-
the freezer. And
Someone's gonna find me half in and half out of the freezer because I needed ice cream. I would have my ice cream.
at least you were
would
doing
never-
what you loved.
Because I never read mysteries. I was just like, and then that was it. Next.
There's the dead guy at the end.
All right. Star Wars or Lord of the Rings?
I'm abstaining from this one.
Okay.
It's Star Wars because it's high tech with anachronistic political systems.
A lot of trade routes in this.
All right. I think it is Star Wars, and specifically it is Empire Strikes Back, because the Camp Permafrost part is definitely Empire Strikes Back. It's got icy patrols, snow-adjusted vehicles, and even a scene where they pull a scat out of the bog, a la Yoda and Luke's X-Wing.
All right.
Oh yeah.
That was on Dagobah, not on
Yeah,
Hoth.
yeah. I was like,
yeah.
what was that on Hoth? No.
He's like,
I'm with you now.
Yeah,
Definitely with you now.
so yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Star Wars.
Right.
Unanimous.
Mm-hmm.
One abstention.
Yeah, but I also support you guys.
Nice.
Abstain with support.
And that's all she wrote.
Ooh, next time. Stand on Zanzibar. Good luck with that.
You go, girl. You go, girl. You go, girl. A hilarious podcast.
I'm reading a hard copy.
Oh,
I
yeah,
said
yeah.
I posted on Blue Sky something about like I'm looking forward to reading a book that is not 1 million pages when we were going to read The Wanderer. Before I knew that The Wanderer feels like it's 1 million pages. And Liz Batty from Octothorpe said, "Stand on Zanzibar says hi."
Bless.
Liz is very funny.